On our last trip, the little plastic flap covering our travel trailer's 7-way hitch socket connector broke. This doesn't seem like a big deal, but without the flap, the trailer cable won't stay in the socket since it relies on the flap's flange to keep it in place while driving.
Here we can see the socket flange and the trailer cable flange interlocking to hold the cable in place. The trailer cable is essential for operating the trailer's brake and safety light system, powering the trailer's turn signals, brake lights, hazard lights, running lights. Also activates the trailer's brakes. So when our connector broke, all of these features no longer worked. Fortunately, we had some zip ties which we used for a temporary fix until getting home.
I called Volvo and was told that the connector is molded into the entire wiring harness and they don't sell a replacement flap. They said the only way to fix it with Volvo parts is to replace the entire wiring harness. I was told the harness cost $167, not including labor.
Our 2020 Volvo XC40 has been a reliable workhorse for us. Now I wanted to find a simple, inexpensive solution to fix the broken flap. Since we sometimes do rough boondocking, we wouldn't want to have to replace the entire wiring harness anytime the little plastic flap breaks.
Fortunately, I was able to find another solution at a fraction of the cost. This inexpensive 7-way socket and mini harness currently sells for around $17 on Amazon. The plan is to replace the broken Volvo connector with this new connector and join this mini harness to the existing Volvo wiring harness.
Our Volvo XC40 uses a traditional 7-way flat pin plug configuration. The colors on the diagram indicate which color wire attaches to each specific pin location and its function. This is the wiring diagram provided in the new connectors box.
The first thing to do is to test the continuity of each of the new connector's 7 wires to make sure the wiring and pin locations are identical by color to the Volvo connector wiring. If each of the colors is continuous with the same pin locations on the new connectors as the Volvo 7-way connector, everything should work great. So we're going to test those using the continuity tester. So it should beep when you hook it up. I'm going to test the first one, the brown first. So I'm going to hold that on and then test where the brown location is, which should be right there. So that's correct. Now I'm going to test the yellow. So I'm going to move this over to the yellow connector, and the yellow will be right up on this side. That is correct. One thing that I do notice is that instead of a purple wire, they use the red wire. So the red wire on this new connector is actually the same as the purple wire, which is the reverse lights, and that should be in the center. I've gone ahead and tested all the wires and they all sync up to the sockets. The only difference from the Volvo is the red wire on this new connector is in the center, which corresponds to the Volvo's purple wire. So this will have to connect to the Volvo's purple wire wiring harness. Now I will remove the old connector by unscrewing it from the mount, and then I will clip each of the wires from the factory wiring harness, leaving enough of the color wires at the end of the connector to also verify each color and pin location with the continuity tester. We're looking at the original Volvo wiring harness after the 7-way socket connector has been clipped off. I also checked all the Volvo wires and placements. I went around for each color just to make sure that they were identical to the new 7-way socket connector. Now I will attach the new 7-way socket and mini harness to the Volvo's existing wiring harnesses. I'm going to make sure that the new mini harness is through the mounting hole before I make the connections. I'm going to use the existing butt connectors that came with the harness, except for the white one, since the original harness is already grounded. So I'll use a Wago connector on that one, which makes it really easy. And the Wago, you just put the wire in and snap it closed. So I'll use that for that one. We have to strip all the wires on the original harness so that they can be put into the butt connectors on the new harness. So I'm just going to strip each of the wires carefully using a wire stripper. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to start with the blue. You need to have it like at least a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to put that, I think it's about, start with one of the larger sizes and see if that works. So do this one. Okay, so I've stripped all of the wires now except the black one, which is the 12-volt hot lead. So I'll do that last after the others are secure in their connectors. So at this point we're ready to start joining up the new harness, and the first thing I'm going to do is put this Wago connector on the white ground wire. So I'll just slide this in. It should go all the way to the back, and then I'll snap it down, and you can see it's all the way in now. I'm going to snip off the connector on this white wire on the new harness so I can slide it into the Wago connector to connect to the original harness ground. We'll just snip this off and then we'll strip it. That we have the ground wire stripped for the new harness. We're going to slide it into the Wago connector that's attached to the original harness and make that connection. So it will go onto the back of this here. We'll slide that in the back all the way in and snap it down, and we can see the wire went all the way through. Both wires are all the way through. Using our crimping tool, crimp it. Just check it, make sure it's a good connection. And there's the green wire. We'll proceed with all the other wires at this time. Okay, now that we've crimped all the wires, we can just verify that the colors are all correct. So we have the black to black, we have the yellow to yellow, we have the brown to brown, we have the red to purple, and we have the blue to blue. I had to use a Wago on this one, the butt connector wasn't cooperating. We have the green to green, and then lastly we have the original first one we did, which was the white to white ground. So it looks like we're in good shape now. So now we're just gonna organize everything and mount the socket in place and then test it. Now we have everything color coded and crimped together. we're going to put the socket into place and mount it. Now that we've mounted the new connector and we've determined that all the color codes of the wires are correct, we just need to do a little cable management and then we'll be ready for testing. For the cable management, I think I'll just tuck these cables up into the rear bumper, and then I might just put some Gorilla Tape in there just to hold it in, but it should be fine. Now we're gonna test the lights out, see what it looks like. Everything looks good.